Hello, I'm Nancy Alexander with Ladybug Wreaths. I'm guessing if you're watching my video today, it's because you've been doing a search on how to make a Christmas wreath and how to tie a bow. Well, I'm going to show you that today. I film videos all the time and we sell them on my website, but I wanted to do a quick short one for you, showing you something about the wreaths, and we'll go over how to make a bow again. The first thing I want to show you, I've got two different wreaths here. I'm going to turn this one upside down. This has two layers. The inside layer is raised and the outside layer is a little bit lower. So you can tell when this wreath is laying on the counter, it makes it be a thicker wreath. Now the one I've got hanging on my stand, it's all one layer. It's perfectly flat, and if I were to lay this one beside that one, it's not nearly as thick. But this is an inexpensive wreath. If you don't want to put a lot into a wreath, you can go to your local craft store and you can buy this for $3.99 probably. This one's probably twice that. So you can make a really pretty wreath with an inexpensive one. So that's what I wanted to show you about the wreaths. And before we start, I put a pipe cleaner on the back of it so it will hang up. I put that on there first, it's just easier. And I have an easel right here that I work on. It makes it much easier to make wreaths. Okay, we're going to make a beautiful bow out of this wired ribbon. For me, it's easier just to unroll the entire thing, and I just lay it on the floor. Okay, and I always start just cutting my end in a V. Now, for your streamers, I usually hold it up against the wreath and see about how long I want one. And I like it long enough that I can just kind of tuck it in and leave a loop and then leave another little tail hanging down. And that is almost a yard. I've got a yard marked on my counter. All right, first thing we do when making a bow, measure off your first streamer and pinch your ribbon together. Now the first layer is going to be a bow tie. So I'm going to make one loop and I pinch the back together. Now I'm going to twist it inside my fingers and have it coming in the opposite direction, and I'm going to make another loop exactly like the first one. Now that looks like a bow tie. We're going to do a second layer and it's going to look like an X. So I'm going to twist my ribbon again, and this time I want it to come out to this side and then this side and then the other side, and keep it on going like an X would look. Now this layer is going to be about 1.5 inches longer than the first layer. So I pushed it together with my fingers and pinched it, and I raised my finger and hold it together after I pinched it. Twist it again and I put another finger down to hold it. Now I'm bringing this ribbon toward me and up underneath. Now this loop needs to be the same length as the first one in the X I'm making. It's not quite as long, so I'm going to pull it out just a little bit. Now I'm going to twist my ribbon again. This time I'm twisting it so it just naturally comes out in the other direction. And I'm pinching it back together. That's the third loop of my X. As you can see, I've got the bow tie and 3 loops to the X already. I'm going to twist it again. I just raise my finger when I twist it and put my finger back down on it. And then I'm bringing it up underneath and I'm pushing it together with my fingers. Now I've got a bow tie and then an X. Okay, we were fixing to make another row on this bow and make it a bow tie, and I realized I'm out of ribbon. Thought I had enough, but that's okay. That will come up when you're making a bow too, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. I was going to use this piece to keep making my next 2 loops, but instead I'm just going to let it hang down and be my last streamer. So I'm just going to point it down in that direction. I've got another ribbon right here I'm going to use. And I like 3 streamers sometimes too, so I'm going to start with this. I'm going to let it hang down and I'm going to gather it together in the middle. And that's just going to be the 3rd streamer that comes out of my bow. Now we're ready to make our 2nd bow tie. And if you can tell, it needs to be about 1.5 inches longer than the loops of the X were. So I'm gathering it together in my finger. I raise my finger and then hold it down. And then I twist it and I hold it down with this finger. And there is the 2nd loop. I pinched it, scrunched it together. There's the 2nd loop in the bow tie. Now that's a really pretty bow, but it needs something in the top. So to finish off my bows, I'm going to twist it so that the color side of the ribbon is pointing up. I come up and then back down. And I'm scrunching it together as I do. Okay, and as you can tell, I shape my bow as I'm making it, because when I'm through, I don't have to do a lot of jerking and twisting like a lot of people do to make it be in the right shape. Now, we tie all of our bows with pipe cleaners. It's much easier on your hands. I'm just going to stick it right through here. I'm not going to let go of the bow. I'm just going to thread it through my fingers. See, it came through these fingers right here, and it came through that loop. Now, the hard part is tying it tight enough. And you need to put as much pressure on it as you can. Mash down with your thumb and pull with your finger and twist it very tightly. If there's one thing that my customers used to do that needed a little correction when they were taking my classes, it was that they did not tie their bows tight enough. So they really couldn't work with them really well and pull on them like, put the loops in the right places. Now, I'm just going to straighten these loops just a little bit, but like I said, this bow is already shaped, so I don't have to do much to it. And we've got 4 streamers hanging down here now, but I'll show you what we're going to do with those in just a second. Now, a lot of people like their bows right in the center of the wreath. I kind of like mine over to the left a little bit. And with these pipe cleaners, it's really easy. I'm just going to mash down a section of my wreath right there. And I'm going to thread it through and reach around behind my wreath. And I'm pulling the pipe cleaner really tight and I'm twisting it several times. And when you're through, you want to clean up the back of your wreath in case you're hanging it on a glass door or on a door that you don't want to get scratched. So we'll go back later and we'll cut off those extra pipe cleaners. Now, I'm going to be spreading out my loops a little bit. Now here's where, if it wasn't tied tight enough, when I was pulling them like this, excuse me, they would slide through. But it is tight enough so it's going to stay together. Okay, now these little extensions from your wreath are all wired. I want this loop to come up a little bit higher and it's not staying by itself, so I'm going to get one of these and I'm going to bend it up inside the loop and it'll hold it right exactly where I want it to be. Okay, I know you're wondering, what are you going to do with all those streamers? So, the first one, I'm going to pull it up. I want to make a little loop that's just tucked in. First, I'm going to gather it together. I'm going to tuck it into my wreath, And I'm going to use the same extension of the wreath that's wired, twist it around my ribbon and curl it. I need to pull these loops back in place a little bit since I raised them up. I'm going to go ahead and cut this in a V. That's really pretty. If you get nice ribbon, this one's really stiff. It's got a kind of a plastic backing. And if you get nice ribbon, it's going to hold up in the, I wouldn't put it out in the rain. I'd put it under an underhang on your porch. Now, I'm going to pinch this one right here and make another loop. Bend part of the wreath around it. But as I was saying, this ribbon is so pretty and so stiff. If rain blows in some wind, it's not going to hurt it. Now, this is going to be one of my streamers that comes down. I like to do it at a little angle. I'm going to pinch it together again and fold part of the wreath over it. And always run your fingers down along the wired edge of your ribbon, and it makes it curl really pretty. And then this one I'm going to tuck in also. I'm going to pinch it together first and bend the wreath around it. Now, if you'll notice, I've got my glue gun plugged in, but I haven't had to use a glue gun yet. And when you're using Christmas wreaths, the green ones, they actually make it much simpler to make a wreath. You don't have to glue and tie everything in quite as much. Okay, and I've still got this long piece hanging here, and I don't need it nearly this long. I'm going to either cut the ends of your ribbons at an angle or in a V, whichever you prefer. I've had a lot of you telling me you're having a problem holding two ribbons in your hand to make a double bow. Now, this is a single bow, but when we make a double bow, that's using two ribbons together, one on top of the other, just like this, and making your loops one on top of the other, and it is hard to hold. So, and that's something that takes a lot of practice. Sometimes it's even hard for me. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy solution to add another ribbon to your wreath. And I love this new sheer lime green with the dots in it. It's really pretty. I'm going to leave a streamer about that long on this, and I'm going to make two small bows. I'm going to tuck one into this side and tuck one into this side, and then I'm going to show you how to spread them out. Okay, while we've been talking, I've been pinching this together, and this is a sheer ribbon, and it's going to be much simpler to make a bow with. Now, since I want these loops to come out from the center of here, I'm going to make about 3 to 4 loops on each side, but I'm going to make them a little bit longer. So I've pinched that together. I'm going to make the bow tie again, and I'm going to twist it and bring it toward me and back up underneath. Okay, and there's your bow tie. Now this time I'm going to twist it, and instead of making the X like an X should be with 4 loops, I'm only going to do 2 more. So I'm going to bring one a little bit longer than the first one, about 1.5 inches longer, pinch it together in my hand. It's so much easier to hold. And then I'm going to twist it and hold it underneath my finger, bring it toward me, and tuck it in to my hand. Now, with this last piece, I'm going to twist it to where it's pointing down, right beside the first streamer, and I'm going to tie it with our pipe cleaner again. Now, normally we're using green pipe cleaners, moss green, and we've run out, so I'm having to use red today, but it's going to be hidden up in the wreath and nobody's going to see it, so it's okay. But when you buy them, if you'll buy moss green, it will be better. Okay, I've got 4 loops and 2 streamers. Now I always run my fingers down the wired side of all of my loops. If it got wrinkled or crushed a little bit while I was making my bow, it makes a big difference. Okay, I'm going to cut this streamer about like that, and now I'm going to make another one exactly like that one. You can hear my ribbon rolling on the floor. I used to try to keep it on the counter and unroll it as I needed it, but that's too hard. Okay, I've got my streamer. I'm pinching it together again. I'll pull the ribbon away from me and then go back up underneath. This is the first loop in the bow tie. And I'm going to twist it and bring it toward me and back up underneath again. And we're just doing half of the X this time, remember? So I'm twisting that, and I'm going to make 1 loop of the X. And if you stretch these out, you'd see this one's about 1.5 inches longer than that one. And I'm going to twist the other side and bring it back up underneath and fold this streamer down so it comes down right beside the first one. Get out another pipe cleaner. You just go ahead and fold it with your fingers so you can just tuck it right in. And pull it very tightly. Now I'm not going to cut this second streamer yet because I don't know exactly how long I want it to be. I'm going to add this bow to this one first, and we'll see how this works out. I think I'm going to put this one right in here on this side. Now I'm going to thread these 2 ends of the pipe cleaner right in through the side of my bow. Now you want it to go right up into the middle of the bow and through the back of your wreath, so that when we're through, it's going to look like it was actually made with your wreath. And I'm reaching through and I'm tying it real tightly, just like I did when I added the big bow. Now this one, I'm going to straighten out my loops a little bit. And I'm going to thread these 2 ends. I'm going to raise my loops up and thread these right up inside my bow too. And sometimes it gets lost up in there. Ah, I found it. And I lost it again. Okay. And always tie those in very tightly. Now I know that looks a little funny right now. All right, we're going to start pulling some of our loops and mixing them in with each other. I'm going to pull a green one down and a red one up. And I'm going to even, let's see, I'm going to pull this red loop over this way. I want a green loop over in here, so let's see if here's one right here. I'm going to pull down. I'm going to tuck this inside that loop. Takes a little practice to pull your bows together so that they look like one bow, but if you just keep working with it and kind of you've tied your bow very tightly in the beginning, so you can pull these and twist them. Now, okay, I've got one more loop right here, a streamer right here, but I need another green loop coming out this way. So I'm going to use that and make it one of my loops. I'll pull it out, I'm going to pinch it, and I'm going to tuck it up underneath, and there's just a little piece of the wreath. I'm going to bend it over that loop. Okay, see, I just made another loop that came right where I needed it to. I'm going to trim that edge of the ribbon, and look how pretty it curls around. Now, I'm going to do the same thing over here with this streamer. I'm going to pull it out and kind of judge about how much I want tucked up underneath. And I'm going to pinch it together right here, and I'm going to tuck it actually in the same spot where I tucked this part of my bow earlier. Run it through your fingers. Since it's wired, it'll curl really pretty. And trim the end. And you can, with these wired bows, you can always see where you can reach back in and fluff them back out. They kind of get mashed when you're working with them some, just like this one kind of disappeared. All right, now this one this is going to be one of our streamers now. I'm going to bring it out and pinch it, and I want to bring it way down up underneath right here. I'm going to twist part of my wreath around it. I want it to kind of go in that direction a little bit. And this streamer, I'm going to bring it right, pinch it, and bring it kind of closer to the middle, because I want to fill in something in that spot left in the middle. Okay, and you can leave your streamers a little bit longer. They look really pretty if they hang down lower than your wreath. There's the right side. Curl them around with your fingers and just let them curl down. Now, we've got a beautiful wreath with 2 ribbons, and actually you could stop right here. Now we are curling your streamers around so they'll hang down really pretty. Sometimes we leave them hanging even longer below the wreath, and that's okay. Now I see 2 more spots where I would like some more of this green sheer ribbon coming out right here and right here. I don't really need loops. I just want a couple of tails. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Get a piece about this long, and I scrunch it together and I fold it in half. And I'm going to cut off another piece, maybe a little bit longer. I'm going to put a pick on this. This is a florist pick. It's wooden and it's got wire on the end. I'm going to lay it right beside the ribbon, and I'm going to twist it around very tightly. Now, for the first time since we started making this wreath, I'm going to use the glue gun. You see, I'm getting these curled and both kind of going in the same direction, the right direction. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right down the stem of my pick, and I'm going to hold it in my hand just a second before I stick it in, because this is a hot glue gun. They make some that you use glue that's not as hot, but I have found it just doesn't stay as well. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to stick this pick inside. Before I pull on it too much, I'm going to let it dry some. I've already trimmed this a little bit. I'm going to trim these two streamers at an angle. When you've got a narrow ribbon like this sheer, I normally don't try to cut a V in those because you don't need to. Just the angle is fine, but I really like seeing a V in the ribbon this thicker like this one, like this red. Now, you have a beautiful wreath. And as we said before, this was a very inexpensive wreath. This was probably $3.99. We went and bought a much cheaper wreath just to show you what you could do with it. This is nice ribbon, but actually it came from a hobby store too. So you can buy your wreath and your ribbon. Now this green is one that I ordered from one of my suppliers. But you can make a very, very pretty wreath for your door and not spend much money on it. Now, if you want to make a fuller, more involved wreath and use some picks like this one with pine cones and iced branches and red berries and some of this glittery filler that they've got now, they've got it in red and in lime green and in gold. I do film DVDs that I have for sale on my website. We have them right over here in this basket. I think I've got about 15 right now. I don't know exactly. But they are at least an hour long. Some of them are even longer than that. And you can get into the more detailed wreaths, say like this one that's called Merry Christmas. You can tell I made that bow with 3 ribbons, and it's got a lot of stuff in it. So if you want to try your hand at a more involved wreath, just go to my website, which is ladybugwreaths.com. I have all of my videos there. I have ebooks there that I've written on wreath design. And we have a new coaching site. It's called bestofnancy.com. where we are training a lot of the women who have learned how to make wreaths. We are training and teaching them how to start selling online, how to sell their wreaths on Etsy or on eBay or on a website. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on. I just told you about my Merry Christmas video where you could, my DVD, where you can get that and make a more involved wreath. Now, this is my Ribbon and Bows DVD. I show you how to make a single bow, a double ribbon bow, and a triple ribbon bow, and we go through it several times. So if you're wanting to make your bows for Christmas, for garlands, for your toppers, for your Christmas tree, we go through all of that in this video. I've really enjoyed having you with me today. It's always so much fun. I want to hold this wreath up and let you get a good look at it now since we have finished. All it is ribbon and a wreath, and it turned out very pretty. I always enjoy having you with me. If you want to look at any of my DVDs, again, you can go to ladybugwreaths.com, or our coaching site is bestofnancy.com. Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you again. Bye.